Yo, what's going on, guys? Evan Tanaka here, back with another video. In today's video, it is I Rate and Improve Your Team series, episode 7. In this series, guys, if you are new, you guys send me your team on Twitter at EvanTanaka10. I rate and improve it and give you guys suggestions of what players I think you should buy and sell to make your team a lot better, especially for no money spent players who are on a budget. But if you are all money spender, if you have a really good team, I still will rate your team and give you some suggestions. But this is mainly for people who have a budget team or just have a really solid team but want to see where they can upgrade. So that's what this video is for, and this is what this series is for. So if you want to be involved in this series, you'll be in the next video, so send it to me on EvanTanaka10 on Twitter. And guys, I do want to say we did hit 500 subscribers, so I really do appreciate it, guys. You guys are blowing my mind away. Like, I don't even know what's going on. I have no words to really express the amount of appreciation I have for all of you guys who've subbed, watched, even just liked the video, watched the video, commented down below. I do really appreciate anybody that has done that. And guys, I am setting a new goal. We are on the road to 600 subscribers by the end of the year. So if we can't hit that, that'd make my dreams come even true even more. So if you guys are new here, I post 2 to 3 Myteam videos every single day, and I give some of the best no money spent content tips and tricks videos on the platform. So yeah, guys, let's get right into the video. Okay, guys, the first team was sent in to by DodoBear. So DodoBear did send in his team on Twitter. This is his team, and he's got 10k MT to work with. So I put it into 2k DB, and I'm going to rate and improve it right now. So for the rating, I do like pretty much everyone on your team except for Crum, Butler, and DeAndre Jordan. I think DeAndre Jordan's okay. I mean, wait, do you have his diamond or is it his... Oh, it was his diamond. My bad. I don't know why. Oh, my bad. I don't know why his amethyst went in there. Let me change that real quick. For me, I honestly don't mind this lineup. The only thing I will say to changes is if you have Rose and DeAndre Jordan on the same line, that's just not going to work because the spacing is going to be terrible. Because I know D-Rose can shoot the ball, but if you want to slash with D-Rose, I would either start D-Rose, or if you really like Jason Terry, just move DeAndre Jordan to the starting lineup because you need to. If you're running Rose, you need to have a popper. You could do Josh Smith as well, and then maybe I don't know, you could figure something out. But anyway, for the rating, I do really like this team. I'm gonna give it a solid 8. It's a good team. It could be an 8.5 with my improvements. It's definitely a solid team. Is it the best team in the game? No, but I think it's a solid 8. So for your improvements, honestly, you have 10k MT, by the way. The only upgrade I would make is, honestly, if you can find Donovan Mitchell for under 10k, I think that's all you really need. If you can get Donovan Mitchell for under 10k, I think you're good to go. If you can find Donovan Mitchell for that, you're good to go. Because I know you like DeAndre Jordan a lot, so I'll let you keep him. If you can't find an RJ Barrett, the 2 players I would look for are RJ Barrett and Landry Fields. And I think at every other position, I think you're good. The other suggestion I will give you is just LeBron James should be power forward. Karen Lickle should be small forward, in my opinion. So if you want to take that change as well. And then again, the thing with D-Rose and Porzingis need to be paired together. And then Jason Terry and DeAndre Jordan need to be paired together. If you want to start Jason Terry, if you want to start D-Rose, they just need to be paired together. You can't have Rose and DeAndre Jordan on the same line. But thank you, DodoBear, for sending in your team. These are my suggestions, and your rating out of 10 is 8. Okay, guys, the next teams here was sent in on Twitter from AJ. He just said to rate my team. I don't think he sent the MT amount. I'm definitely going to rate his team, and then I'm going to give some suggestions that have really small MT amounts because I'm looking at this team and I know I can make some small adjustments to this team that'll make it a lot better. But he didn't give me an MT amount, so I'll make them as cheap as possible. So rating out of 10, I don't know why you're starting Kelly Chibrinka. If anything, you should do this and get rid of Kelly. Kelly should not be in this lineup. If you do that, your team becomes a lot better. If you want me to rate your team from the start, it was probably like a 7.5. But even if you just change that, it's almost like an 8. I don't like Blake Griffin, so we're going to get rid of him. Gary Harris doesn't really fit this lineup, and Wendell does not fit this lineup as well. I'm going to say to keep Ibaka, Richie Homura, you can get rid of. Everyone else is pretty good. I think Suggs is better than Kobe White, so just might as well get Suggs. He's really cheap. Again, would start Suggs. And then I would pick up Fred VanVleet over Kyrie. Fred VanVleet's like 10k MT. He's really cheap right now, so you could definitely pick him up. And then for power forward, I would just go cheap and pick up Darius Miles. Really cheap card, really good card. You're good to go. I'd probably start him. You could keep Draymond. There are some upgrades you could make, but again, since I don't know your MT amount, I'm just going to go really cheap, but I'm going to go Porzingis. So if you can buy these players, like if you can buy Fred VanVleet and if you can buy Kristaps, so basically if you can make this team with how much MT you have, if you make this team, this is a really solid team. So thank you, AJ, for sending in your team on to the next one. Okay, guys, so the next team here is from Gavin. It looks in the top right, he's got 300 KMT. So he's got this team and 300 KMT to work with. So his rating out of 10, Rayful France, I haven't looked really into, but I know he's a decent center. I like pretty much every card. Caron Butler, I'm not the biggest fan of, but he is pretty decent. So I'm gonna give this team. I'm gonna give this team an 8.5. It definitely could be an 8 because I'm not the biggest fan of Caron, not the biggest fan of DeAndre Jordan. I haven't really looked at Rayful France, but Paul Silas are really good D-Rose. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, bro. Unless you're really trying to be competitive, like if you like Rose, I'm not trying to sound like DBG here. Like I'm not trying to like downgrade your team, but like I'm not gonna lie, bro. Like that Ruby Rose isn't that much worse than he just isn't that much worse than what's it called? The Diamond D-Rose. He's just not that much worse. For the rest of your team, it's honestly fine. Again, if you have 300k to work with, you can really make some big improvements. So I'll give you a couple options. If you want to go like some big improvements and you want to make your team really solid, I mean, Dikembe Mutombo is only 100k, and Isaiah Thomas is only 100k, and those are, I think, top 3 point guard, and I think top 3 center in the game. So you could just do that, and then honestly, if you just do that, you have a really solid team. And if you want a backup center, if you like popping, because I like having a popper, you could go Porzingis, you could go Josh Smith. Those are 2 really good popping centers. If you want to go inside, you could keep your DeAndre Jordan. He's fine. But honestly, if you change that around, I think your team becomes really, really good. So thank you, Gavin, for sending in your team. On to the next one. Next team here is from reddishseason. He sent to his team on Twitter, of course, and he says he has 80k MT to work with. So this is his team. I think it's a really, really solid team so far. There's no player on this team that I don't like, so I'm going to give it an 8.5. There's no player on this team that I don't like. Yes, they're not all the best cards in the game, but they're some of the best budget cards in the game, like DeAndre Murray, Donovan Mitchell, Kawhi Leonard, Darius Miles, Porzingis. Right, Miles Turner is a bit expensive, but he's really good. So the only suggestions I would make, I would get rid of Darius Miles. I think LeBron James is just a better Darius Miles, in my opinion. I think LeBron James fits your team perfectly. I think if you pick up LeBron over Darius Miles, I mean, you have 80k MT to work with, so if you want to make a big upgrade, you could go. There's nowhere really to upgrade, to be honest with you. I'm not gonna lie, bro. I would just get LeBron over Darius Miles, and I would just keep your team, because this Ruby LeBron James is like almost like his diamond card. So I would just honestly get the Ruby LeBron James, and I think you're good to go, bro. I really do. I don't really see anywhere you need to upgrade with 80k MT. I mean, you could pick up like a Jaylen Brown if you really wanted to, but I don't really think you need to. I think your team's perfectly fine. I would just save your MT. But thank you, reddishseason, for sending in your team. On to the next one. Next team here, guys, is from kingmux. I don't know how to say that. He has 50k MT. He says he's trying to get back to 100k MT, but I'll work with about 50k MT. So this team for the rating, guys, honestly, it's a really good team. It's just constructed a little weird, like Curry at the 2, Miles Turner at the 4. So honestly, before I change a couple things, like not even improve you, before I just move people around on your team, I'll give it an 8 out of 10. I know it seems low for what cards you have, but it's just because the team just not constructed very well. But watch, if you go Steph Curry to the 1, if you go Drew Holiday here, if you get rid of Murray, I do like Murray, but if you do get rid of him, because I think Drew is probably a little bit better. If you move Kobe to the starting 2, you move Jaylen Brown to the backup 2, and then you move Miles Turner to the backup center. You get rid of Serge Ibaka. Now that team, guys, is looking really, really. I mean, I would start Miles Turner, and then start Josh Smith probably, and then probably even start Tobias Harris. Guys, now that team, like, I mean, if you don't count like the last 3 players, which I'll give like some pretty good budget options, like that starting lineup is like a 9 out of 10. So you had the team constructed properly. You had the team constructed wrong, but you had really good players. But if you construct your team something like this, you could obviously go Kobe over there. You could go Tobias off the bench, pick up a small forward. But going off of this team, I think this is like a good lineup. And what I would do is probably move Jaylen Brown to the 3 and pick up Donovan Mitchell. Again, a really cheap card. I think the best shooting guard matched up, but top 3 shooting guard in the game. Jaylen Brown, I think he's tall enough to play the 3. If you're worried about that, you could put Tobias Harris off the bench so you have a little bit more height off the bench. And if you're back up 4, again, I'm going to go another budget option. You could go LeBron James. He may be a little bit too cheap. Like you might have, honestly, I think that's fine, because what I'm going to recommend is, I know DeAndre's good, but I feel like, guys, in the game, in the meta, and how the game's played, I think you need a popping big. So I'm going to recommend Kristaps Porzingis for your backup center. I think everyone needs to have this Kristaps on their team. I really like Kristaps. I'm going to recommend him for a lot of teams. Same with this LeBron James, because this LeBron James is basically like his diamond card. So yeah, guys, I think that's pretty good for his team. I'm pretty sure I stay within the budget. Thank you, kingmux, if I'm saying your name right. If I'm saying it wrong, I'm sorry for that. But yeah, thank you for sending your team. On to the next one. Next team is from Hayden, and he looks like he has like 600 KMT. He does have some like gold cards in his team, but he said he had Drew Holiday, Josh Smith, and Miles Turner. So I just brought them back into the lineup, and basically that's what I'm going to do, because they are three really good players, and I think I'm going to and you said you were going to buy them back, so I'm just going to have them in the lineup because he said he was going to buy them back. So for your rating out of 10, once again, there's not a player I don't like. I'm not the biggest fan of Serge Ibaka for you having 600k. But other than that, I'm going to give this team an 8.5 out of 10. I think it's really solid. The few changes could make it a lot better. Maybe it's an 8. It's between an 8 and an 8.5. So the first suggestion I'd make is you have a lot of MT. Did you specify how much MT you wanted to spend? I like save it. Okay, so you said you want to spend like about 150k MT. Okay, so about 150k MT, that's what I'll work with. So for backup center, that's where we want to improve. There's not a lot of good backup centers. Let me look on 2KDB and I'll get back to you. Okay, so I'm not gonna lie, with the team that you have, I think the only real adjustment you really need to make is just pick up the Dikembe Mutombo for around 100k MT. So we still have about 50k to work with. Because again, Bingo's fine, Glenn's fine, AK probably at the 3, and then you probably want Melo at the Glenn at the 4. And then also what I would probably do is I would move Melo to the starting 4, put AK to the starting 3, and then put Glenn at the backup 3 and Josh Smith to the backup 4. That's probably what I'd recommend to do. And then the only position you need to really upgrade here is your backup point guard. So I would pick up that DeJounte Murray. I think he's a really good solid and with his point guard for around 10 KMT. You could also look at Fred VanVleet if you like a little more 3 hunting and you like those 3-pointing hunting guards. And then you have Drew Holiday, who's really good. So you could also look at Isaiah Thomas if you really want to save up MT. He'd be a great backup point guard or starting point guard as well. But other than that, I think your team is really solid, man. Dikembe Mutombo will make your team a lot better. You could also maybe look at a no, I think Dikembe Mutombo, I think he's good for your team, but here's some extra guys to look at: Fred VanVleet, Isaiah Thomas, and definitely pick up DeJounte Murray, Fred VanVleet for sure, and then move some of those guys around, like starting AK, Melo at the 4, Glenn at the 3, and then Josh Smith at the backup 4. I think that'll make your team a lot better. You'll see some improvements right away. So thank you, Hayden, for sending your team. You're sending me your team on Twitter. On to the next one. Next team here is from Blocks, if that's how you say his name. He's got about 90 KMT, and this is the team he's got to work with. So for rating, guys, the only person I don't like on this team is Rudy Gobert. And Dennis Rodman, I'm not the biggest fan of, but I'm probably going to get rid of him. But I'm going to give this team an 8. I think an 8 is a solid rating for this team. So for the first improvements, the first 2 things I see is get rid of these 2 guys. Pick up LeBron James. You have about 90 KMT to work with, so LeBron James will definitely fit in your price range. Your bench is fine. For your backup, what I would do is just pick up Porzingis, and then I think your bench is perfectly fine. What I would do is move Josh Smith to the starting 5, get rid of Ibaka, and pick up Darius Miles. I think Darius Miles is really good. And then I'd put LeBron James as starting. And honestly, bro, I don't think you need to make another change. I think you're perfectly fine there. I just save rest of your MT. This is a really, really solid budget team. I would give this an 8.5 out of 10. I think it's a really, really solid budget team. You got DeJounte Murray, Drew Holiday, 2 really good budget point guards. Jaylen Brown, Donovan Mitchell, probably 2 top 3, top 5 shooting guards. Bruce Brown, Kawhi Leonard, both really, really good locks. Probably both top 5 locks in the game. And then you got LeBron James, Darius Miles, 2 of the best Ruby power forwards or even just Ruby budget cards in the game. And then Josh Smith and Porzingis are 2 very viable centers. Again, I'm a big fan of Porzingis, not the biggest fan of Josh Smith, but I know people like that Josh Smith card a lot, so I'm definitely going to put him on the list or on the team. So thank you, Blocks, for sending your team. Apologies if I'm saying that wrong, but on to the last and final team, guys, which is from my boy Nick. He follows me on Twitter and TikTok and everything, so shout out to Nick. He sent in his team. He's got 65 KMT, and remember to rate before because I always forget to rate in my past videos. So hopefully, Nick, I did improve, and I think I rated every team at the start. If I did miss your team, I apologize. But his team is souped as hell, guys. Like, his team's really good. So out of 10, for me, there's no player I obviously don't like. There's some positions I see could be upgraded. Again, you don't really have the MT to upgrade it, but I do definitely see some positions you can upgrade. But honestly, out of 10, I'm gonna say 9.5. I mean, you got Anthony Davis and Dikembe Mutombo, who are 2 top 3 centers of the game. So if you guys watched one of my last videos, I said the best possible team in the game. So So I literally said Dikembe Mutombo was my best center of the game, and I said Anthony Davis was my second best center of the game. So for me, he literally has the best center of the game and the second best center of the game. And I said Dolph was the best power forward in the game, so he has Dolph. AK, I think I had him as the second best small forward in the game. I had Melo as the second best power forward. You know, I had Kobe in there. I had Gary Payne. I had Pete Maravich. Like, he basically has what I said the best team in the game was. Now, Chris Mullin, I only have 65K, but he's kind of an, you know, person I see outstanding in this lineup. So for you, what I would do is either pick up Jaylen Brown. And if you can't pick up Jaylen Brown, if he's too expensive or you don't want to, I would go Donovan Mitchell. And for you, Nick, you should badge him up because, again, I know you like playing competitively. But I think you should upgrade that shooting guard position. I do like Mullin a lot, but I feel like you should have someone that can create a bit more in that lineup because if you have Chris Mullin there, he can't really create. So in that lineup, you're kind of just relying on Pete Maravich to carry the offense, which is perfectly fine. But I'm just saying, I feel like having Jaylen Brown, who can kind of create, but having Donovan Mitchell will really help you create. And you have a lot of size, so you don't really have to worry about Donovan Mitchell being too small. He's a great defender, especially if you badge him out. But Jaylen Brown can work as well as another good lock. But he's just a better Chris Mullin, in my opinion. He's better than Chris Mullin, in my opinion, but it's for different reasons. Obviously, Chris Mullin's a good shooter. I see what you were trying to do there. But I do really, really like your bench. I like your whole team. I don't know if I'd give this a 10 out of 10. Like if I upgraded the Jaylen Brown Donovan Mitchell spot, but it definitely is very close to a 10 out of 10. So thank you, Nick, for sending your team, guys. And that is the end of the video. I hope you guys did enjoy watching. I appreciate anybody who has watched or subscribed from the start. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.